When it comes to our English fluency, do we fake it till we make it, or do we allow ourselves to be vulnerable and authentic? Hey everyone, I'm Daniela. I'm a non-native English teacher, a pronunciation nerd, and a foreign language enthusiast. Today, I'm going to talk about dilemmas and contradictions in the context of learning a foreign language. I'll also give you 4 tips on how to keep learning English and stay confident even when you think that your English is not good enough. But first, let me share with you a story about contradicting messages. When I was in elementary school, my physics teacher, who was very good-hearted but often contradicting herself, once looked at the class and said, "I've never told you, but let me repeat." She went on to explain whatever she was trying to explain at the moment, but the rest of the class, including me, couldn't stop laughing. Although we'd been kind of used to her way of expression by that point, this one was a true gem. How could she repeat something she'd never told us before? I still giggle when I recall that day. And I wish I could also remember something from the actual physics lessons, but that's a different topic. I always remember the story when I hear contradictory statements. For example, I find fake it till you make it and be authentic, be vulnerable to be clashing messages. When someone is super nervous and hesitates to do something, I often hear the advice to fake it till you make it. This means not to show how you really feel and pretend that you're confident. But at the same time, many successful people now harp on how important it is to show vulnerability and be authentic because this makes you more approachable. Now, I might not be a native English speaker, but I do know that the words fake and authentic are antonyms. To be fair, I do realize that the fake it till you make it advice is not meant to tell people to be a fraud, but to act as though they're confident in moments where they lack confidence. To pretend that they're in their desired state of being before having actually achieved it. In other words, if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, act like one before being one and keep acting until you become one. There is plenty of literature out there expressing the pros and cons of this strategy, so I'm not going to discuss it here. I'm more interested in the clash between the two, fake it and be authentic. To be honest, be authentic, be vulnerable is a fairly new phenomenon that has gained in popularity over the last few years. There's also a lot of content about how to be authentic. An authentic person is someone who acts in ways that genuinely show how they feel. So now we have 2 opposite pieces of advice. Advice number 1 is, even if you're not confident, don't show how you really feel and pretend to be confident. The idea behind this is that this behavior will eventually help you to become confident. Advice number 2, on the other hand, is to act in a way that you genuinely feel and show vulnerability. The idea behind this is that this will make you more relatable and will make people like you more. So what does this mean when it comes to building confidence in English? If you're confused and can't decide which advice to follow, you're not alone. Personally, I've tried the faking one on a few occasions, but it doesn't work for me. I guess I'm a terrible faker. But being totally authentic is not the best choice in certain situations either. Imagine that you have to present something in English and you're so scared that you start crying or run away. That kind of authenticity is not gonna fly. But there is no need for such a rigid dichotomy. You don't have to be either fake or extremely vulnerable. Not being able to fully express yourself in another language is normal. But unfortunately, many people become frustrated if they can't eloquently express every idea in English, and they start doubting themselves and lose confidence. I've talked to many people who have actually become really angry with themselves for not being more fluent. Remember that learning a foreign language is not just about what comes out of your mouth. You also develop a slightly different personality. And sometimes you might feel like you're losing your true self. But you can still stay true to yourself and at the same time boost your confidence without being fake. So here are my 4 tips on how to keep it real and stay confident at the same time. Tip number 1 is to embrace your fear and start speaking more. If you wait for that moment when you feel confident and ready to give a perfect speech in English, you will be waiting forever. The more we learn, the more we realize that there is so much more to learn. And that's okay. To practice, you can listen to great speakers for inspiration. You can find great TED Talks on YouTube, try to imitate a speaker that you admire, and record yourself. By the way, speaking of imitation, I have other videos where I show you how I do it. Make sure to check them out. I'll leave the links in the description box below. Also, subscribe to my channel if you haven't done it yet, and click on the bell button to be notified when I post new videos. As I said, recording yourself is super helpful. When you listen to your own recording, you will hear details that you're unable to hear while you speak. Embrace fear and speak despite being afraid. Remember, you're your most vicious critic. No one else judges you as harshly as you judge yourself. Tip number 2 is to allow yourself to make mistakes and be okay with them. This is the kind of healthy authenticity that will show that you're genuine yet confident. If you forget a word or mispronounce a sound in English, just remind yourself that this is not your native language and keep going. Focus on the message that you want to communicate and not on the fact that you can't find the perfect word at the moment. Make sure not to get stuck on one word. If you forget a term, think of a different way to express the idea. You can even say, I know a better word to express what I'm trying to say, but I can't think of it now. This way, you show vulnerability and confidence at the same time. Reading and paraphrasing are great exercises to boost your vocabulary and remember words faster. I also have a video about how to memorize words. I will put the link in the description box. Tip number 3 is to develop your own voice and build authentic confidence. Confidence comes with knowledge, but also with being true to yourself. When you practice, you can imitate speakers that you admire, but your goal should be to develop your own style. Remember, you're never going to satisfy every single person on earth, so don't seek approval. Even the greatest artists in the beginning imitate the style of someone they admire. By imitating and repeating, they learn good technique and eventually develop their own style. You can do the same, but this can happen only if you're consistent. And tip number 4 is to confront microaggression. Microaggression is an indirect and subtle discrimination. Although it's often unintentional, it's important to confront it. If you're fluent in English, but someone asks you if you understand a particular word, ask them why they think you wouldn't. If people ask where you're from the moment you open your mouth, ask them why they need to know. Don't get me wrong, some people are genuinely interested, but many ask just because they hear an accent and they don't really care about the answer. Stay calm and polite, but always confront microaggressions. By doing so, you show vulnerability and confidence at the same time. By the way, I also talk about accents in one of my other videos. If you want to check it out, you can find the link in the description box. Remember that mastering a foreign language is not just passing exams and collecting certificates. It's also gaining a slightly different way of thinking and behaving. We're all actors in this world. Wait, I think Shakespeare said it way better than me a very long time ago. Here's the original quote. All the world is a stage and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts. Alright friends, I hope this video was helpful to you. Please like it and subscribe to my channel to get more tips about learning English, motivation, living abroad, and all the challenges that might come with it. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!